What's going on, guys? Happy Sunday. Another NFL main slate to go over. Obviously, week 7. It's crazy. We're 7 weeks in now. NFL season has flown by. But yeah, I think this is I think it's a pretty solid slate, and we have 11 games. Few high total ones. Obviously, the Kansas City, Tennessee one's going to be super popular. I think there's definitely ways to get different, as there is in almost every single slate. So, yeah, again, I think it's a pretty solid main slate. But, yeah, this is going to be a general Q&A live stream, guys, so make sure to leave some questions in the chat. I'll be live for a good 30 minutes answering any questions you guys have. Let's go over a couple pieces of news. Not a ton. This wasn't like previous weeks where we were waiting on like a lot of guys, but a few pieces of news to go over. Julio Jones is active with that hamstring. Now, proceed with caution there. Obviously, it's like hamstrings are always iffy, and he's been banged up, so he is going to give it a go. Sterling Shepard, unfortunately, for my best ball and season-long team, is inactive. A little bit tilted about that. Now, the Giants receivers, we'll get to that, but I think Slayton's probably the guy you trust the most there. And then Devontae Parker is also inactive, so that's a boost to the other pieces of offense, or the other receiving targets there for Miami, guys like Waddle and Gesicki. So that was really the big news. Again, it wasn't a slate like we had like 100 guys questionable, like a few weeks ago. But yeah, I think that's basically up to date on stuff. So yeah, guys, make sure if you're just coming in to hit that like button, and yeah, let me know what you guys got for questions. What's up, DK Football and NBA? 'Tis the season. Yeah, love the grind, man. Love it. DJ Moore speaking to me. Should I ignore him? I think he's a very safe option. Good matchup. He's getting a ton of targets. Again, averaging like 10 plus targets a week. Established himself as the clear number one wide receiver. I have no issue with DJ Moore. I think he's a really, really solid play. Targeting any Giants. Yes, I mentioned, like, Slayton's probably the guy you're going to feel the best about. So Shepard out, Galladay out, Tony out. Slayton's probably going to be, like, their number one option. You have him. You have Ross. You have Dante Pettis that are probably going to be the top 3 wide receivers there. And then looks like Evan Ingram is also good to go. I think he'll be a lower-owned tight end play. It's the least viable. So probably Ingram and Slayton would be the two guys I would look to if I'm going to go to anyone on the Giants. Thoughts on Mike Davis? Yeah, Mike Davis, and then I also saw any Cordell Patterson love. So that Atlanta team is tricky. With these two, they are kind of splitting the work. Cordell Patterson's been phenomenal. Now, he did get a lot more receiving work last game because there was no Calvin Ridley, so I would guess those numbers go down a little bit. I just don't know if I can pay 6.3K for Patterson. I get it. I would probably rather go to Mike Davis, but yeah, they're both in play. The Cordell Patterson year has just been so weird. I don't get it. But yeah, again, they're both in play. I'm probably not going to go to Patterson. If I was going to choose between the one, I'd rather go to Mike Davis. Mahomes, Henderson, Hubbard, Bateman, Hardman, Godwin, Kelsey, Corey Davis, and the Jets defense. I think it's pretty good. What do you think of Sam Darnold? Probably a long shot. Honestly, I've really just been spending up in quarterback this year. Sam Darnold's 5'9", couple down weeks. He started off pretty strong. Buy low candidate, it's okay. I think you can make an argument for a lot of quarterbacks this week. It's just there's usually enough value for me to get up to one of those, top 5 quarterbacks, even top 10 quarterbacks. Patterson or Hubbard? For me, I'd rather go to Hubbard over Patterson. You like Kelsey? I think he's one of the safest options on the board. His price looks great. It's still coming down 7.6K. This is, again, the highest total of the week. He was mid-8s to start the year. So, yeah, I really do like Kelsey. Favorite lower-owned stacks? I don't know. Obviously, that Kansas City stack's going to be popular. I think the Rams stack's going to be popular. I don't mind the Cardinals stack. I don't think that's going to be super popular. It's, they're massive favorites, but I still think that they will continue to pass the ball even when they're playing from ahead. So I think that one's kind of sneaky. I think you go Tennessee to get leverage on the Derrick Henry chalk. Yeah. Derrick Henry about to run all over the Chiefs. Yeah, Derrick Henry is going to be chalk, right? So he's been phenomenal this year, getting insane amount of work. I think you could at least make the argument to fade him GPPs, but man, it's a scary fade. How do you feel about Josh Jacobs? I'm kind of just neutral on him. I think there's a lot of good plays in the mid-range at running back. 6.2K, fair price. Been a little bit more involved in the pass game this year. Kind of just, again, neutral play. Don't love it, don't hate it. Favorite quarterback under 6K? Yeah, that's a good question. I will say either Tua or Daniel Jones. Again, I know Jones was absolutely awful last week, but he's at least a guy that can provide some rushing upside. So one of those two, probably lean to Tua, is probably a little bit safer in that matchup against Atlanta. And Tua, again, you got to kind of have condensed target shares, right, with a lot of guys out. You have Gesicki, you have Waddle, so you could definitely stack that one up. I think that'll be a somewhat popular stack too, either Miami stack or the Atlanta stack, just because relatively cheap options on both sides of the ball. So yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it'll be Tua. Late slate, so we're talking about last 4 games. Well, anyone on the Rams looks good. I don't think, that's pretty obvious. Henderson, all the wide receivers, Stafford look great. So that's pretty obvious. Again, I think the Tampa Bay receivers are a little bit too cheap, and the Arizona guys, I think, go a little bit lower owned than they should be. Gibson workload today. So for me, I want to target Antonio Gibson when I'm confident it's going to be a neutral game script or they're going to be playing from ahead. In a game on the road against Green Bay, I'm not confident in that, right? This seems like a J.D. McKissick week where they fall behind, they kind of phase out Gibson. They usually get J.D. McKissick a lot in the passing game, so it's probably not for me. If Washington's playing like the Jets at home, then I'm more confident targeting Antonio Gibson. Stafford, Henderson, Hubbard, McLaurin, Godwin, Slayton. Okay. Are you doing NBA? Probably just on Patreon. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to swing it with the Showdown, with the NFL Showdown slate tonight, with NBA. So, yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to do a YouTube NBA stream. GBP, Chiefs, Titans stack, Mahomes, Henry, Swift, Bateman, Hardman, Higgins, Kelsey. Yeah, so that's gonna be a popular stack. I obviously like it a lot. It's a super high total game. But just know it's going to be popular. So you got some chalk in there with the chalk stack, right? You have Bateman, that's going to be chalk. I do think you have a couple lower owned pieces where it makes sense. But just know the only downside with that stack in tournaments is it's going to be super, super popular. That's going to be the most popular stack, I think. Yeah. All right, I'll answer this one NBA question. Yes, Bain and Melton are very underpriced. You like McKissick for GPPs? Yeah, he's game flow dependent. But if the Washington football team fall behind, as you would think they would on the road against Green Bay, then McKissick gets a pretty big boost. Chuba time? I think Chuba's a fine play in the mid-range. Pick 2, Tyler Johnson, Van Jefferson, Rashad Bateman. That's a good question. Taking ownership into consideration, it would be Van Jefferson and Tyler Johnson because Bateman looks great. But I think he's going to get a lot. He's going to get all the ownership in that range at punt. If you're punting wide receiver, people are just going to go to Bateman. Now, disregarding ownership, it would be Van Jefferson and Bateman. I think those two look better. But taking ownership into consideration, I think in GPPs, maybe you leave off Bateman because he's going to be so popular. And there are other pivots, right? Van Jefferson played 65% of the snaps last game, and he's on the Rams. The Rams are going to air it out. So, that's my take there. Rodgers stacked with Adams, Antonian run back. Rodgers stack with Adams and Tunyon, run back McLaurin or Seals Jones. Well, it's a little bit easier to get to Ricky Seals Jones. He's pretty safe in my opinion. Like he's playing like 100% of snaps. He's running a ton of routes. Now McLaurin's got a lot of upside. So if you have the salary, like McLaurin's the guy that has more upside, obviously. But like Seals Jones is definitely easier to get into that stack. Stafford, Kupp, Henderson stack, perfectly fine with it. The Rams are most likely going to put up a ton of points. Guys, we're already over 100 viewers. Appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like button. It does help me out. Thank you very much. Is Harris a good play now that Stevenson's out? Yeah, so probably more touches for Damian Harris. I think he's, 5'7", right? Yeah, 5.7K going up against the Jets. The only issue is no real involvement in the passing game, but you could realistically see 20 carries today for Damian Harris, so perfectly fine going there. Yeah, Ram stack is going to be popular, right? I think that's going to be right up there with the Chiefs stack. So I like it. It's going to be, it's going to look good. Just know that like it's going to be duplicated. So if you do go for a Ram stack, you're going to have to get different some way. Like maybe you play someone super low owned in that stack. Like maybe you play, for example, if you're doing a Ram stack, maybe you throw Van Jefferson in there because he's not going to be that popular, but he does have upside. Darius Slayton a lot, not a lot. How you're going to feel the most confident in for the Giants? Yeah. Bateman and the Giants wide receivers. Well, Bateman's probably a guy you go to in like a cash game setting. He's going to get a lot of ownership. And I think he looks good. Giants wide receivers, you can go to, I think, in GPPs. Swift or Henderson? It's a good question. I think you're going to feel a little bit more confident in Henderson, but both running backs are in play. Swift, actually, it kind of helps when the Lions are playing from behind because he's such a good pass-catching running back. Darrell Williams or Swift, DK? It's a good question. I will say Williams, but that's not super confident. I don't really know if I have like someone that's super, super low owned that like I'm going to that I feel confident in. Like I'm playing a decent amount of chalk today. So I don't know if I have a good answer for that. You look Brady, Godwin, Johnson stack with a run back of Rob. It'll be contrarian. Like targeting, my only issue with targeting the Bears is like you're just not super confident in that passing attack. But the Tampa Bay stack looks good. Swift or see, I would much rather go to Swift over Patterson. That's just me. Is Waddle a good replacement for Shepard? Yeah, I think Miami has a pretty condensed target share, especially with Devontae Parker out. So I think Waddle looks really solid. Tannehill, Henderson, Swift, AJ Brown, Hill, Myers. Yeah, I like that. I like that for tournaments. Again, you're kind of leveraging the Derrick Henry chalk, right? Obviously, he's going to be massive chalk in cash games. He's going to be massive chalk in GBPs too. So there is a way Derrick Henry fails. I know it's hard to say that with the way he's looked, but Derrick Henry can still go for 15 fantasy points today. And if he does, if Derrick Henry has one of those subpar games and you fade him, you have massive leverage to the field. Now, there is a good chance he still goes for 25 to 30. But yeah, again, one way to leverage that Henry chalk is go to the Titans passing attack. If the Titans fall behind early, like you saw game 1, Tennessee fell behind big time against Arizona. They kind of phased out Derrick Henry, right? He had 17 carries for 58 yards. Not his normal like 25 to 30 touch game. So if this does happen where Tennessee falls behind like 14-0, 21-0, they're not going to go ground game with Derrick Henry. They're going to kind of phase him out and they're going to have to air it out more. So that's the way that works out. 33K? Do you mean 3.3K and down for tight end? Ooh, there's no one I'm really confident in, to be honest. Oh yeah, Ingram's 3.6. What did Ferguson do last game? He had 1 catch and 1 target. Yeah, I honestly don't love going down to this range for tight end. Juju Smith, they like going to their tight ends, but he's just not getting a lot of targets. And honestly, in my opinion, I probably rebuild. Keep an eye on O.J. Howard news. I guess he's listed as questionable. If O.J. Howard can't go, then Cam Brate is going to be the guy you go to. So I would say Cam Brate, especially if O.J. Howard's out. But yeah, like I haven't really been punting a lot at tight end this year. Aaron Jones versus Washington. good with it. I think he'll be. I don't think he's going to be super popular. The price doesn't really stand out, but he'll probably get somewhere around 16 to 20 touches. Are you eating the Bateman chalk? Well, in cash games, if I played cash, probably. But I'm a tournament player, so I usually like to go to pivots. Today, maybe the day you'll want and need A-Rob in your lineups. I mean, he's relatively cheap, right? Like, you're getting a really low price on Allen Robinson. He's what? Yeah, 5.1K. So I get the play for sure. Hubbard or Fournette. That's a tough one. I like the matchup a little bit better for Hubbard, but like Fournette's still gonna get a ton of touches. I'll say Hubbard, but not super confident in that one. How do you feel about Ertz at tight end? So we don't know exactly what his workload's gonna be since we haven't seen him play for Arizona yet. But I would think he gets a decent amount of snaps. He's cheap, definitely in play. I would say more of a GBP play just because we haven't seen him yet play. Been a long time, DK. Hope you're doing well. Cannot play DFS anymore. Let's move to NB. Now you just get to betting the games and miss DFS, though. Oh, man. Yeah, that's tough. Wait, where are you at? NV? Well, hopefully you're still having fun, though, betting on games. FanDuel, GBP, Booker, Freeman, McKissick, or Michael Carter for cheap running back. Ooh. Booker is definitely, I think, the safest option there, Devontae Booker. But again, McKissick's the guy I do think you can look to too. He's more risky, but if Washington does fall behind, which you would think they would, he becomes pretty valuable. Seals Jones or Ertz, small lean to Seals Jones just because we kind of know what he is. He's going to be out there the entire game running a ton of routes, and Washington's most likely playing from behind. And Fournette versus Jacobs, a small lean to Fournette, but yeah. Ertz out this week? I think he's playing. Thoughts on Pettis? Viable GPP play. I'm not sure how those snaps are going to work for the Giants. Slayton's the guy you're going to feel the best about. But yeah, if you want to go to a punt, tight end, and Pettis, I think he will be out there. I just don't know how long he's going to play for. Yeah, so I see a lot of Allen Robinson love. I have no issue with that. You're buying low on him, 5.1K. He's a super talented wide receiver. Yeah. Burrow or Matt Ryan? I'll say Matt Ryan. I don't love either today, though. I'm guessing that's Matt Ryan, not Matt Stafford. Is Hardman a must? No, but I think Hardman's a pretty safe, cheap wide receiver. You get, a cheap piece to a super popular, or a cheap piece to a very high total game. So, yeah, I like Hardman. He's going to play a majority of the game, too. Ryan Griffin. Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't like punting tight end. I really don't. I think there's just like 5 or 6 tight ends that have way more upside than the rest, and kind of the same thing with quarterbacks. I've been looking to spend up a lot more at tight end this year. KC or Tampa Bay stack? Both are going to be popular. I think the Kansas City stack, disregarding ownership, probably has more upside, but again, it's going to be very popular. Goddard's fine too. Yeah, with no Ertz, I think Goddard's fine. Thoughts on Tua? One of the better cheap quarterback plays, in my opinion. Stafford or Hurts? That's a good question. I think Stafford's going to get more ownership. I might lean to Hurts there, but the only issue with Hurts is, like, who do you pair him with? You can go Goddard, you can go Devontae Smith, but honestly, if I do play Jalen Hurts, I might play him naked, meaning like I might not pair him with anyone. Yeah, I'm good with Mixon. I was really high on Mixon, and I played him. He won me a lot of money last slate because Kareem Hunt was getting all the ownership and Joe Mixon was going super overlooked. So I just pivoted from Kareem Hunt to Mixon and GPPs. It worked out really well. Mixon came in at like a fourth of the ownership of Kareem Hunt in a great match against the Lions. Now it's not as good of a spot against Baltimore on the road, but he still played a majority of the snaps, is involved in the passing game. So still fine going there. 5K flex. Let's take a look. And so we talked about McKissick. I think he's a viable tournament play. I kind of like Gesicki, with Miami being pretty thin at wide receiver. 12, 6, 7, 9 targets. I think he's a really solid play. Lamar or Matt Stafford today, quarterback. Again, I kind of like Lamar to bounce back. If you watched that game last game, Lamar got really, really unlucky. He played well, a couple touchdowns dropped. Just every touchdown scored in that game was by the running back. So I like both, but maybe a small lean to Lamar. Mooney. Yeah, so Mooney has been playing a ton for the Bears. He's actually kind of outperformed Allen Robinson this year. Good with it. Again, Tampa Bay looks like a solid stack, and Mooney, A-Rob are decent bring-back plays. Goff and Hawkinson. I think Hawkinson's a fine contrarian tight end play. There's a lot of good plays. I think he goes a little bit overlooked. As far as Jared Goff goes, I mean, the positive is he's going to be playing from behind. It's a revenge game narrative. But that's all I really have to say about Jared Goff. Godwin or Waddle? Ooh, that's a really good question. I think both look good. I'll say Waddle, but I like both today. Thoughts on Randall Cobb? I'm probably not going to do it. I think there's other value wide receivers to feel a little bit better about. Tua Henry, Henderson, Evans, Kupp, Slayton, Gesicki, Pettis, and Titans D. I think it's a good tournament build. Godwin or McLaurin. So if you have the salary for McLaurin, I think it would be McLaurin. But point per dollar, I think Godwin looks a little bit better since he's like $1,000 cheaper. Favorite stud minus Henry? Stud running back or stud wide receiver? Or just stud anyone? If it's stud running back, probably Henderson, but he's not really like a stud. If it's just stud like anyone else besides Derrick Henry, I think Travis Kelce is pretty underpriced. Tyler Johnson is one of the cheap guys you can consider. Without Antonio Brown, I expect him to play probably at least half the game. There's too many Johnsons. Hold on. Yeah, so I expect him to play at least half the game, maybe a little bit more. He's the flat min price. Tampa Bay is a pass-first team. I think he is definitely viable. Darrell Williams or Hubbard, small lean to Williams because of the game environment, but I think both look pretty good. Yeah, so the Ravens is a good question. Without Latavius Murray, it's probably going to be like a three-headed monster. If you want to roll the dice in one of these running backs, you can. I guess Devontae Freeman is expected to serve as a starting running back. Do I necessarily trust that? Not really, but they're all cheap, so it's like, sure, you can go to one of those guys. Yeah, good question. Best pay-up wide receiver? Depends what you're playing. Cash games, probably Kupp, just because of the amount of targets he's going to get. I'll say GPP's Tyreek Hill. He's more boom or bust, but like Tyreek Hill in like a 60 over-under game, that looks phenomenal. Swift or Mixon? That's a really tough one because Swift is going to look solid here in a game they're going to be playing from behind. I'll say Swift for the discount, but that's pretty close. Seals Jones or Ingram? Another good question. Small lean to Seals Jones, but I think both are good, cheap tight end plays. Do you like Mark Andrews? He's fine. I think he goes a little bit overlooked at 6K. The only issue is he's kind of in like a no man's land at tight end. I think the upside is a lot higher in Kelce for like $1,500 more, and then you have a lot of good kind of cheap plays in the mid 3s to 4K range. So I think he goes a little bit overlooked today. Who do you pair Lamar Jackson with for tournaments? Hollywood Brown or Andrews. I'll say Andrews is a little bit of a safer target. Hollywood Brown's the upside play for sure. Pettis is going to be the chalk today. You think Dante Pettis is going to be the chalk for the Giants? I mean, I think he's definitely viable as a cheap wide receiver. He's the flat man price. He had 5 catches, 11 targets last week. Again, Slayton's going to be mixed in. I just don't know what these snaps are going to look like for the Giants, right? So you have Slayton, you have Ross, you have Colin Johnson, you have Pettis. That's the only issue. It's like, what are the snaps going to look like? Thanks for all the help, my guy. Yeah, of course, man. Thanks for coming and watching the stream. Appreciate it. Josh Gordon, good in Chiefs stack? I probably wouldn't. I think that's getting a little bit much. I think I would probably just trim it down to Kelsey, Hill, and Hartman. You suck at picks, Matt Ryan. You're never gonna feel good about Matt Ryan. I'll tell you that much. Like I've played Matt Ryan a decent amount in my DFS career, and you're just never ever gonna feel good about him. But Atlanta has a terrible defense. So a lot of the times they're playing from behind. You're seeing this like 40 plus pass attempts. And he does have a couple guys you can pair him with, and guys like Ridley and Pitts. So for me, I would feel more comfortable with Tyler Johnson. That's just me. I know what his role is going to be. He's going to play the slot wide receiver. He's going to play probably 50 to 70% of the snaps, whereas Dante Pettis, a little bit more unknown. He did have 11 targets last week, but they were also playing from a massive deficit. They do have Slayton back, but now Shepard's out. So it's like, all right, what are the snaps going to look like for Pettis? So I do like the upside in Pettis, but a little bit more risky, I would say. You like Waddle, Tua stack. I think Tua is underpriced, so yeah. And I think Waddle looks good too. That'll be I think, somewhat popular stack because that's a good matchup for those two guys. And again, if you go to Miami, they are they're thin at wide receiver, so no Fuller, no Devontae Parker. What are your thoughts on Aaron Jones? I think Aaron Jones is kind of a neutral play for me. He's kind of no man's land for running back too, right? You have Derrick Henry, you have Jones, and then you have all those guys kind of in the mid-range. So, again, kind of no man's land. I don't think he's going to be super popular. He'll be productive when he touches the ball, but also A.J. Dillon is involved in this running game. So it's not like you're going to get like 25 to 30 touches from Aaron Jones. So I think we expect somewhere around 16 to 20 touches, is involved in the passing game. Kind of a neutral play. Not someone I love. I don't hate him either, though. How many Chiefs to stay in a play in a stack? So usually if I'm stacking, I try to double stack. So I usually try to, if I'm playing Mahomes, I'll probably try to pair him with two guys. Jackson Hubbard, Aaron Jones, Hollywood Brown. Okay, yeah, I think it's a solid build. I don't think the Ravens stack's gonna be super popular, but yeah, Lamar pairing with Hollywood Brown, bringing it back with Jamar Chase. It's a good tournament lineup. You're fading Derrick Henry. You're not gonna feel good about that. I'll tell you that much. Swift or Darrell Williams, smallest of leans to Williams, but I like both. Midseason is when Rodgers stops running the ball. Swift or Fournette, probably Fournette there, but that's really close as well. Matt Ryan, Hubbard, Patterson, Brown, Ridley, Waddle. Okay, I see what you're doing there. Ryan, Patterson stack, Ridley, bringing it back with Waddle. Again, it's a decent tournament build. It's pretty contrarian, though. Damian Harris season, I think he's firmly in play. I think you could see 20-plus touches from Damian Harris today against the Jets. So, no issue going there. The only concern with Damian Harris is no involvement in the passing game. Yeah. If you see this comment, haven't liked the video, show my guys some love. Hey, man, appreciate that. Hey, guys, we're at 22 likes. Can you maybe get that to 30 or 40? Appreciate all you guys. And if you guys are interested in NBA, DFS, I have a video breaking down the 5-game slate tonight, so make sure to check that one out. Probably not going to do a YouTube live stream just because we got Sunday Night Football. I'm going to do a Patreon live stream for NBA. I'm going to be live a lot today, so I don't know if I'll be able to make that one work. All right, guys, last minute or so. Anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to call it a day. Hopefully, we have some big winners today. Hopefully, all your guys' stacks work out in tournaments. And let's fingers crossed, no injuries. That would be nice. All right. Well, I'm going to call it on that, guys. Good luck, and I will see you guys back here in the next live stream.